All right.
All right, we are going live here. It's loading up.
We are a go. Silence your cell phones.
I think it just went live.
I was about to say it's not quite there yet. Live.
There we go.
Love and Thunder spoiler review. Nice. I'm actually kind of excited to talk about that today, if I'm being honest.
I have a lot to say, so for all you people that join early and we haven't gone live yet.
Oh, that's nice. What's up, guys? Let me share the link to our Twitter, and then we will get rolling. Actually, I don't know why I haven't been doing it, but I should share it on both my Twitter pages, like my main personal page.
Yeah,
and silence your cell phones, but I haven't because I'm a robot. Oh, nice. I'm gonna like that. I'm a little biased. What did it have? Twitter. Yeah, I think we're. I'm good on my end, I believe, sir.
I'm posting one, and then I got to post it to the actual Facebook page.
Okay, that works for me. What I need to. I've got a lot of the movies that I watched pulled up, but really I should have pulled up the most recent Marvel films.
I mean, I know them off the top of my head. So.
That's because you have that kind of memory.
Just for movies.
MCU. I'm just going to put phase 4. Because I don't think like phases 1 through 3 were near perfection.
I mean, they had some stinkers too, and I think people forget that. But we'll talk about that when we're live.
Okay. How do we look? We look good? Do we sound good?
We always look good.
All right. I am ready when you are.
All right. Let's get it going in 3, 2, 1.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to Silence Your Cell Phones. My name's Kevin Shelton, here as always with my home dog, Jarrett Hubbard.
Yeah, that's me, Jarrett Hubbardson.
The home dog.
The home dog.
Did you add an S-O-N to your last name, Hubbardson?
Yeah, in honor of our Asgardian friends.
Fair enough. I like it.
Yeah,
it's topical.
It is in character, if you will.
We will not. So, Jared, before we get into anything, because we are going to talk about the Thor movie and we are going to talk about the state of the MCU.
Yes,
before we do that, though, I usually ask a question to start off the podcast.
We do.
Last video on YouTube.
Yeah.
What did you get into this week?
So this week was pretty good. We did Thor, Love and Thunder.
We did.
I watched The Deer King yesterday, an anime movie, very Studio Ghibli-ish. I enjoyed it. Wasn't great. Wasn't awful. It was a good watch, though. It's always fun to get that stuff in the West. I watched Big Daddy.
Oh, nice. That's a classic.
Yeah, I was trying to. It was like one of those like super late. I really don't want to think super hard right before I go to bed. So I watched Big Daddy, and then that was, I think, it for the week.
Okay.
Because this weekend we were out of town.
We did go out of town. Had some delicious chili.
Yeah, I watched Love and Thunder twice, I guess.
Oh, you did. Yeah, you did. You watched it Thursday or Friday, and then
I watched it Friday and then Monday with you.
Yeah. Then we had an awesome weekend where we got chili in Cincinnati, which was cool.
The best chili.
The best chili that I've ever ingested in my life.
Yeah. So to all our Cincinnati listeners, if you're out there,
Yeah,
you guys got some banging chili.
you're on to something there, truly.
But what about you? You were saying off mic that you had a pretty good week.
Yeah, no, I did. I got a lot of, and I went. It was kind of a sneaky good week in movies for me.
Yep.
Because it didn't really start until like Monday, honestly, with Thor: Love and Thunder.
Yep.
And then I don't know if I just got into this mode where I really just wanted to watch movies. You ever just get in a mood where you're just like, I just want to watch movies. I don't really care what it is, but I'm with it. I'm in it. I'm gonna focus on it and not necessarily to turn your brain off, just I want to watch movies and see if I can learn new things. So I started with the Mission Impossible movies.
Okay, like from the beginning.
Yeah, so they actually they had some really good releases on Netflix this week.
Yep.
They released Mission Impossible 1 and 2 and Ghost Protocol.
Yeah, so
I don't know where 3 is, but I'm kind of pissed.
It's probably where it needs to be. In
no.
the ether. So like my thing with the Mission Impossible movies were, and I texted it to you, is like 1 and 3 and then Ghost Protocol 4 almost feel like two different franchises. Like,
really?
I love, like, Mission Impossible 1 is really good for what it is. You get the really iconic music, that
movie, I didn't even realize.
Scene.
Yeah.
Like, it did a lot for movies that, like, especially the score.
Oh, absolutely. That was Hans Zimmer, by the way, which I wasn't aware that was him.
Surprise, Hans Zimmer has,
like, he did Dune, right?
Has iconic music.
Yeah.
But like Ghost Protocol, it's like they flip a switch where it's like they start telling one continuous story with reoccurring characters and bad guys. And Ghost Protocol and Rogue Nation are probably two of my favorite like espionage movies. Yeah, they're very up there in the James Bond realm of film to me.
So the cool part about it was
I'm sorry, I totally
no, it's perfectly okay. Like, you have way more knowledge about it than I do. And I had seen the films. The issue was like I didn't quite remember them. So like as I'm watching, I'm like, oh, I remember this. Oh, I remember this. And then, like you said, the iconic dangling from the ceiling. And I totally forgot I was in there, but that's iconic, like truly. The sound, iconic. Like, it was all, I feel like everything that was spoofed in Austin Powers came from Mission Impossible.
I think
like
Austin Powers just took what they liked about James Bond, took what they liked about
Mission Impossible,
and then just threw into all the comedy.
Yeah, no. So it was really cool to see that and learn where those things got their origin. Mission Impossible 1996. So I saw the first one and I saw the second one that was made in 2000. I was looking for the third one, couldn't find it. I'll track it down. I want to watch them in order. Yeah. I watched on the espionage train, but in a different genre, Get Smart. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah, it's the remake, correct? Because I knew Get Smart's an old TV show, but it's done with Steve Carell and The Rock and all that.
Anne Hathaway. Yeah. So like it was it's really funny. It's got one of my favorite scenes, like just solo comedy scenes.
Is it the one with the Marlin?
Yes.
He's
every time. I laugh every time. I
don't remember much about that movie, but I remember, are you thinking what I'm thinking? It's like, well, I don't know. Are you thinking, holy shit, a giant Marlin almost took my head off?
Yes, dude. It's one of the best scenes in any comedy that I've ever seen. I can't not laugh.
Yeah.
That and the Cone of Silence, where he gets told he's gonna be a field agent.
Yeah.
He's like, hand me the COS, Cone of Silence.
Yeah.
And it doesn't work, and everybody just hears him yell like a girl. It's classic Steve Carell. But yeah,
the peak Steve Carell.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but it was great. And then today I actually watched a movie that I didn't necessarily plan on watching. It was just one of those, like, I saw it, I was interested just to see what it was about. The Sea Beast got released on Netflix.
Yeah.
It's an animated film. I don't know that I would say it's earlier. I know I said specifically for kids. There was a couple of curse words. I don't know if maybe it's a tween to child type of deal, but I would describe it as like a cute kids movie.
Yeah.
You could probably throw it on, for the kiddos, give them an hour and a half entertainment, call it a day. But yeah, it wasn't too bad.
Do you know who did it?
I do not.
Okay.
I do not know who did it.
I'm always super skeptical of animation studios that aren't like DreamWorks and Disney.
Yeah, so it just says a Netflix film. I guess it hit theaters a little bit. It says from the filmmakers of Moana and Big Hero 6.
But I think that's probably very generous. They probably worked on the film somewhere.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
They need to garner some hype for the film.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, and it was to be completely fair, like the animation I thought was done really well.
Yeah.
So, not terrible, but not great either. Like I wouldn't call it like a premiere animated or kids film. It was fine.
Yeah.
And then, as you know, I started kind of a new project where I am dabbling in my first screenwriting experience, and it's exciting. And I had to watch a lot of like YouTube videos on learning how to correctly format a screenplay.
It's not for the faint of heart. Like it's really difficult.
So that'll be a fun endeavor, and I'm hoping to maybe like share some of those scenes on our Patreon.
Yeah.
Maybe do some read-throughs,
Sure.
Because I think that'd be pretty cool and a good way to get to engage with some of our fans and listeners. But yeah, so it was kind of a cool, fun little busy week for me.
Yeah, I sat down, and I don't know why I would do this to myself, but today I was like, I sat down and I was like, I need to know what my top 10 movies are. And then,
top 10.
Because I wanted to like be able to say, I wanted to be able to look back at the podcast,
right,
and see if there was anything that would have made its way into the top 10.
Okay.
And naming my 10 favorite movies might be the hardest thing I've ever done in my life.
And you're talking not the greatest movies, not favorite movies.
Yes, my 10 favorite movies.
Okay. The Godfather.
Yeah, that's on there.
But where is it on there?
It's number 2.
Casablanca, your number 1?
No, I got a giant poster of my number 1 favorite
movie. Oh, Gladiator. Yeah. Sorry. I would have said that before the podcast. I just didn't know if you'd seen something post the start of the podcast that would.
Nothing, and I didn't look super hard, but nothing that I've seen has shifted its way onto the
thing.
Because I was like, the criteria has got to be, I have seen this movie at a minimum 2 times.
Okay.
Like I can't say it's a top 10 favorite movie if I've only seen it once.
That tracks.
Yeah, at least for me.
Spider-Man No Way Home?
No? I've only... So, like, the only comic movie that made it on there was Into the Spider-Verse.
That's totally fair. I'm perfectly okay with that. I mean, I'm truly that movie was so well done, and like I feel bad because I know there are people out there that didn't watch that movie because it was animated and they missed out on a phenomenal film. And it's devastating.
I think No Way Home is great. obviously it's probably one of the best superhero movies ever made.
Right.
But I think the rewatchability of Into the Spider-Verse is infinitely higher than No Way Home.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree with that. And I feel like because I've watched Into the Spider-Verse a couple times, and I still see new things like that I didn't catch before. And the colors, dude, just the colors. Oh,
dude, it just really puts in perspective like how much better of an animation it was. Because like I'll watch a year's worth of animated movies from Lightyear to whatever Pixar is putting out. And then at some point during the year, I'll watch Into the Spider-Verse. And then it'll be like nothing else compares to this right now.
Yeah. And so that movie came out in 2018, I think.
18, yeah.
Kind of pulled up. Let me see. Yeah, 2018, 4 years ago, right? About this time too, if I remember right.
No, it was a Christmas movie. It was the end of the year.
Oh, I guess it is only. Sorry, we did our
1 year.
We did our like close to the end of the fiscal year.
Yeah.
Like reviews
at work.
Yeah. And so I guess I was just backwards, but yeah, it was towards the end of the year. And let's see, the IMDb still has it at an 8.4, and I think that's lowballing it.
Yeah,
I think it's a 9 for me.
I think it's, and I've said it once, I've said it a billion times. I think it's the greatest animated film ever made.
It's got an 87 Metascore.
It's pretty good.
Yeah. So, but let's go ahead. Let's shift gears a little bit.
Yeah.
Wait, did you want to tell us your whole list?
No.
Okay, I was wondering because like I didn't want to interrupt that.
No.
Okay, so we're good to.
Yeah.
Okay, I am interested though in your 10 favorite movies. So we'll have to do that.
We can talk about that off mic or something, but
yeah, or we can do a separate episode about it.
Or we can do that. But I was just saying, you had your project, I have my project.
That's a good project. Okay, so let's talk about Thor. Love and Thunder.
Let's talk about it.
Before we discuss the MCU, because it plays a role in what we're going to discuss.
It'll bleed into.
So the first thing that I want to say before I say anything else, because I don't want it to be, oh, Kevin's negative Nancy. Oh, he's the worst. Christian Bale was a breath of fresh air in this film. One of the best, if not the best, antagonists, I'm going to say, of any comic book movie and of the MCU. His performance was, to me, on par with the solo performance of the Butler guy for Elvis. I think it was that good.
Oh, Austin Butler,
thank you.
Yeah.
I think it was that. I think it was on that level. Like, I think people sleep on Christian Bale, but to me, he's probably one of the most talented actors in Hollywood right now.
Yeah, I don't even know if that could even be debated anymore, because it was almost like watching two different movies, right?
Yeah.
The stuff with Christian Bale and the stuff without Christian Bale. Because let's just go ahead and get it out there. If you've read reviews of Thor: Love and Thunder, it gets smashed pretty hard. Yeah. And I think a lot of the critiques are warranted, and I don't want to take away from that. But I also feel like, and I watched the movie twice, and I thought the second time it was much more enjoyable than the first time. I think Marvel movies are put under such a lens that they get kind of beat up on just to get beat up on.
Well, there's an expectation.
Yeah.
But it's not, look, it's no fault of like the cast and crew of Thor: Love and Thunder. Like they're not necessarily to blame for the hype that surrounds the MCU whenever a new movie comes out. at the same time, there should be a standard set by Disney in the MCU because they are backing it. I feel like even if you expect the lowest Disney MCU movie, I still think this is below that.
No, I completely disagree.
I don't.
Dude, I think, honest to God, this is, I mean, it's a mid-tier MCU movie. Like, I mean, it's the second best Thor movie. It's better than 1 and 2. It's not better than Ragnarok. It's better than Iron Man 2. It's better than Iron Man 3 because those movies were not good.
To go back and watch, but
it's probably arguably better than the first Avenger, the first Captain America movie. It's not better than Winter Soldier or Civil War.
The first Avenger movie?
Yeah, no, the first Captain America, the first Avenger, the first Captain America film.
Oh,
it's not.
I actually really like that movie. I don't know why, but
I mean, I enjoyed it. But it's not better than any of the Avengers. Obviously, we can team up movies are their own thing.
Yeah.
I think it's just as good as Black Widow, Shang-Chi, and the Eternals.
I don't. I do not at all. I completely did. Actually, I vehemently disagree with that. Because to me, so with Black Widow, it was essentially like her origin story kind of deal, kind of. But it was her first solo movie. Shang-Chi, origin story. Eternals, origin story. Like they're made to be a little bit slower, but I still think, even with that being said, that they were overall better films than this Thor movie, especially with the Eternals and Shang-Chi. I love Shang-Chi.
I know
like that was probably looking at all of Phase 4. Aside from Spider-Man No Way Home, that was probably my favorite Phase 4 film, Shang-Chi.
And it's an enjoyable movie.
Like,
I think if you watched Love and Thunder a second time, you would enjoy it more. Like,
you might be right, but it's like you said, like you lowered your standards going in when you watched it the second time, and you found it more enjoyable. Like, that's the problem, is that people aren't going to lower their standards for this film made by Disney when they've had so much success prior, and it's not an origin story. Like, it shouldn't be. You're not taking the time to introduce new characters. Not really. Like, Valkyrie's been in Thor. Thor obviously been in Thor. Even Natalie Portman, even though it was 11 years ago, she's been in Thor.
Yeah, but not as the mighty Thor.
No, like, you're right, but like, she's still somebody we know. I think one of the bigger problems with this was not necessarily the story itself, but the pseudo love story, or the dynamic that they tried to force onto the viewer, that Natalie Portman and Thor were in love.
They try to rush through the love story. I think the redeeming quality of this movie is that it ends well.
Yeah, the third act was
so like, once you
sublime.
The first act is where most of the critiques come from. I can almost guarantee all of the negative things that are said about this movie happen in the first act.
Yeah.
To about halfway through the second act. And like I said, I'm not trying to defend it. The stuff can't be defended. It was almost a parody of itself. There was too much comedy. There was stuff that just didn't need to be in there, when if they would have just given us all gore stuff,
Or the God Butcher, not Gore, the element in films. So
The God Butcher, Christian Bale. If we had gotten more Christian Bale, or if they had just taken that time to set up Natalie Portman's character a little bit more, we don't need an entire Natalie Portman origin movie, but a 30-minute setup would have been fine. But they tried to do too much comedy, and I get it. Thor and Guardians of the Galaxy are kind of the comedic relief characters of the MCU. The jokes just weren't sticking. I'm okay with humor, but not when there's no serious moments.
I actually prefer it. I like having the humor offset the darker moments of the film series. I think I don't know. It definitely eases like tensions. Well, because you don't want a movie to be too exhausting, right?
Well, that's how. I mean, I know people, like most of the arguments I see, they're talking about like how awesome the Batman and the Joker were. Like, just because a movie is dark does not make it good. Yeah. Like, I'm one of the people that make jokes, like you said, to offset negative things. Like, that's what I want people to tell jokes at my funeral. Like, I don't like feeling crappy. I don't want people to feel crappy. So like when bad things happen to me, I make jokes, but these jokes just didn't land. And they were forced. Like, the biggest thing that sticks out in my mind are the goats.
That was pretty cringe.
That are pretty awful. Rough. The eat my hammer thing. And I know they're trying to make Jane look cool and be a likable character. She was there to die the entire time.
Yeah.
That was her mission, to make Thor feel complete. But I don't think the movie was trash.
So in the first act, one of my bigger gripes was not like how they started, like how they set up the rest of the film. One of my biggest gripes is just on the acting. Now, I've seen Chris Hemsworth act well. I've seen Natalie Portman act well. I've seen Chris Pratt act well, right? And you even said it yourself. Chris Pratt didn't look like he wanted. He looked like he was shooting the Jurassic World movie at the same time he was shooting this one, right? That was your exact statement. And I couldn't agree with you more. It seemed a little disinterested. And it just wasn't there, like, truly, for me. I think the best actor aside from Christian Bale's the start to that, because that was kind of crazy. I think the best actor was Groot, Vin Diesel, as Groot's voice. To me, might have been some of the best acting in the first act. So,
what's up, the Till Tigers?
Hey, the Till Tigers back. What's up, homie? I don't know, man. It was cringy all the way around. The jokes weren't sticking. And when that happens, it's just like, it looks so bad. Sylph, I made a comment. She was in the movie for all of 3.5 seconds.
She is bad.
And it looks like bad theater acting. And then Thor makes an off-color joke about maybe her arms in Valhalla.
Yeah,
because her arm died in battle, but she survived it.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It was all that first act.
The first half was bad.
Yeah.
It's like they had some like prerequisites that they had to meet before they could actually start their movie.
Yeah.
What's up, Crow?
Crow, what's going on, brother? That's my buddy.
Yeah. Yeah. So we dogged it. We get it. Let's talk about the good things, because there are more good things than our initial reactions are going to let you guys have us think.
Sure.
We know Christian Bale's great. I think everything shot in the Shadow World was cinematography at its finest.
Yeah, it was almost literally perfect. When they started, and I to me, that's the start of the third act, was when they when they show up in the Shadow World, for the first fight with Gore the God Butcher, and they had selective color in some of the shots that I thought was really well placed, really well done. Lady Thor's hammer was one.
Yeah,
right?
the blue really popped.
Yes.
You could see the red cape on Thor's uniform. And Frank, our buddy, mentioned it in one of our group chats. I think this is probably Thor's best uniform or costume.
Sure.
Very vibrant colors. You had Zeus's Thunderbolt, which was gold in the darkness. Something I told you before the movie, even like before you saw it, like my favorite parts of the movie were when Christian Bale would be like in the shadows and you could just see his orange eyes.
Yeah, super cool.
Yeah, it gave him that creep factor. So I think everything, like you said, third act, when the climax happened, was really, really well done.
Yeah, I mean, I probably could have done without like the kids.
Yeah,
fighting scene thing. It was. I mean, they did what they had to do. Like, what else are you going to do with a bunch of kids that are held hostage by Gore the God? But like, what can you do?
Yeah, but I think that was also, at least to me, I took it as that was kind of like a foreshadowing to, okay, we've taken peace for granted. Like, we need to be raising the next generation of warriors. Because Asgard had essentially just become, like they said, a tourist destination. Right. So maybe showing the kids fighting was showing that, like, you will have to, Thor won't always be there.
Well, I actually, for me, it was a little different for me. I actually saw it as a subliminal to Gore. His issue was that God's never showed up. And here you have Thor showing up to save and protect these kids. And not only does he do that, he endows them with the power of Thor for a limited time only. But like, he shows up in a big way for these kids. And I think it was a shot at Gore's calls saying, here's a God, right? That's not strictly about himself. He walks the walk. He's a true God in that sense.
Yeah, had he been worshiping Thor the whole time, we probably wouldn't be in this situation to begin with.
Yeah, he was worshiping some douchebag on an island surrounded by Furies. I don't know.
I would have liked to have seen Gore kill a couple more gods, like on screen, instead of just alluded to, just to kind of make him more of a threat.
Yeah, it was.
But I think that's just me wanting more Christian Bale in the movie, because he doesn't get a ton of screen time.
Yeah. Crow said, why did I not know y'all do this? Because I just decided to, and I don't know why, I've talked about it before, but I never posted the podcast on my actual personal Twitter account. Just on the Silence Your Cell Phones Twitter. That's the only one I do it on. So, but yeah, we do movie podcast, Crow. I appreciate you joining, man. Yeah. But yeah, no, look, from starting in the Shadow World for the duration of Act 3, I thought it was really well done. To it really and truly the ending when they find the eternity. I think that's what they call it, the eternity, right? Where they get to grant a wish. And Thor's like, "Hey, man, like you won. Like you make your wish. You know, I'm gonna spend my time with the woman I love," which I think is an appropriate response to the situation.
Yeah,
I'm totally okay with him going to Natalie Portman's side or Jane Foster and being with the woman he loves for what he believes is his final moments. And it seemed a little more relatable and human to me. And I thought it was.
I can appreciate anyone knowing when they've been beat. You know, I mean, sure. Gore got there first. It doesn't matter what Thor would have done in that situation. It's not going to change the fact that the dude gets his wish.
Yeah.
I can appreciate any villain that we can relate to. Because it's not, I mean, yeah, Gore kidnapped kids, which doesn't look great. But
He didn't touch him though.
He didn't kill him.
Yeah.
He just was using them because he needed the Bifrost.
Yeah, Gore was about his he was about his own idea. Like he had a vision. He had a what I think is you empathize with his situation.
Well, especially when you see how he got there. I mean, the guy he prayed to originally, he actually meets, and he just gets laughed at.
They say don't meet your heroes.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like it's another. That's one thing I think the MCU does really well is they make villains that if you sit there and just look at what the mission is, you're like, okay,
but he wasn't.
I can see it.
He wasn't a psychopath. Like he wasn't a sociopathic. He didn't make decisions based on like anger in the moment. Like he had one thing that he wanted to do. This is why we understand it, and he did it. Right. I think the reason he didn't hurt kids was because A, they're not gods, and B, his history with his own daughter would suggest that
he's a dad.
Yeah. So I don't know. I feel like clearly the best part of the movie was Christian Bale.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, got the hiccups. But yeah, that's my take on Thor: Love and Thunder. I did, because of Christian Bale in the entire third act, I give it a 3.5, 6, 7 out of 10.
Yeah.
But a lot of that is really and truly Christian Bale as Gore the God Butcher. So what do you think?
I told you I gave it a 7 out of 10 because of Christian Bale. I think there was things I caught more the second time, not just knowing what I was walking into with some of the campy jokes, but I was able to watch some background choices and stuff that they used that I enjoyed in the second go around. I think, like I said, it's pretty on that mid tier of Marvel movies. So didn't love it, didn't hate it.
Okay. So let's use this to transition into what we're going to discuss today. I think it's a good thing we went here first, because what we're talking about is the MCU as it stands right now.
Right.
And are we just doing like phase 4, or we just
I mean, phase 4 is predominantly what we're talking about. But yeah, I mean, if you want
just the overall state of the MCU.
Yeah.
So go ahead. Where would you put it right now? I mean, are you looking at? Do you think it's been a major downslide? Like, are you looking at?
I think what the MCU needs is the next big bad. Like, we need the next Thanos, something to start tying all this stuff together.
Sure.
Which it's in the works. Like, the multiverse is a thing now. Kang the Conqueror is probably the next big bad. So we just have to get there. I think COVID really messed up the timeline for it, because I think the biggest thing is it's kind of like MCU fatigue right now, right? Because we're getting 1 to 2 to even 3 movies a year, plus 2 to 3 TV shows. And so it's just like bam, 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 bam. Where if we were getting 2 movies a year and maybe like 1 or 2 TV shows, it's less content to have to digest.
Right.
It's also been going on for almost 25 years, or not 25 years, almost 15 years.
Right. Do you think there's a little? Is it overplayed right now? Are we getting too much of it? Have we gotten too much MCU the last 10, 15 years? I mean, it's a lot, right? I don't know how many movies, but there's a ton.
I think the problem is like there's obviously a void with where we're at right now because the original the starters, the Robert Downey Jr.'s, the Chris Evans, like that's almost lightning in a bottle. And they're the most iconic characters in comics. You know, your Iron Man, your Captain America. Okay, so when you take them away, what does that leave you with? Kind of like the B team. Now, Thor's a big player, sure. But like there was no Loki, which is arguably one of the best parts about the Thor universe. Tom Hiddleston as Loki interacting with Chris Hemsworth as Thor. But now we have Anthony Mackie as Captain America, Sebastian Stan as the Winter Soldier. We have Oscar Isaacs as Moon Knight. Miss Marvel just came out. So it's a bunch of characters that I don't think people are fully invested in. Like no one cares about Shang-Chi or the Eternals.
Yeah.
Like that's why those movies semi-tank. And then as soon as Spider-Man comes back, you're looking at the greatest comic book movie on film. So
well, I think I don't think that's fair because of what they incorporated into the film. I think the content had more to do with the lackluster Marvel movies that got put out before it. I think that was more a product of, and we've talked about it before, nostalgia. I think they did that perfectly.
Well, there's also there's no good villains in these other movies. Like Spider-Man by himself, like in a bubble, has the best rogues gallery compared to Batman.
Well, the issue is that to me, the best villain happened in one of the worst movies we've gotten.
No, but that's
the
what
Multiverse of Madness. I think the Scarlet Witch could have played a phenomenal like villain or antagonist,
right?
Because she's capable of so much.
Right, but I mean, that's characters that we only like because of the actors portraying them.
Could be.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not. I think Doctor Strange is a cool comic book character. I do not read Doctor Strange comics, but I think a lot of my like for Doctor Strange comes from I really like Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yeah. Fair.
And it's the same thing. I think Gore was a really good bad guy, but I couldn't tell you anything about Gore prior to the movie because he's not a bad guy I care about.
Right.
The beautiful thing about Spider-Man is he has great villains in his own storyline. So we get the Green Goblins, the Doc Ocks, and things like that, which are super sweet villains. And then you bring back the nostalgia factor of it being William Dafoe and the Doc Ock from Spider-Man 2. And it's just like everything clicks in Spider-Man because he's a self-contained hero.
Part of that, and you've got to credit whoever did the casting because I think they were casted perfectly. I at least to me, Jamie Foxx, Willem Dafoe, and they did a great job making sure Willem Dafoe was the actual big bad for No Way Home. You got to tip your cap. I think that might be more. That might have more to do with the overall success of that film than just it being a better movie than the other ones. Like I think there's multiple factors, is what I'm trying to say.
Well, I think like as much as I loved No Way Home, I think it was more detrimental to the MCU than it was helpful. Because as far as the movie standards go, I'm not talking story-wise go, because it's like, so let's switch it around a little bit. So let's say No Way Home comes out when Love and Thunder does.
Okay.
And you put Doctor Strange and Love and Thunder right after the Eternals. Are we still leaving the theater saying those movies aren't good? Or okay, maybe not saying maybe
I get what you're saying.
But I'm saying, like, are we having the discussion about, oh, the MCU's in trouble, it's not where it needs to be, is if we just walked out of No Way Home in July, and then we are on the biggest high of our movie going lives.
Look, I'm not here to say that you're wrong. I'm that's not it. Because I think you have a valid point. The problem is that, like, the
reality of it is that's not how it happened.
Right. But if it had, maybe we're not having this discussion. But maybe we're having it a couple weeks ago before this movie comes out. Right. It's tough to know because we've seen Spider-Man No Way Home in all its glory already. And maybe it did hurt him. I would certainly hear arguments for it because it was such a big deal.
I just think people want to have that feeling of leaving. Like, I think people wanted to walk out of Love and Thunder and Doctor Strange feeling the same way they did when they left No Way Home, and it's just
not realistic.
It's not realistic. Like, you want that high of, like, man, this was the most fun I could have in a movie. And it's just, you're not going to get that. And I'm afraid, because I'm going to watch MCU movies no matter what. Like, I'm not an on the fence guy.
Sure.
I'm going to see what they put out. I think just like Crow said, and we talked about, I think it's just fatigue at this point, because a lot of people aren't going to the movies every week like we are. And so I think they think their only options for movies right now are some animated movie like Minions or just another comic book movie, because it is saturation.
That could have been the driving success behind Top Gun.
Yeah,
it's so much love. Like, it really, you could probably take $100 million and attribute it to just it not being a comic book movie or a child's movie.
Yeah.
And I think it's reasonable.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, you go first.
No, stop it. You go first.
You go first.
Oh, I forgot what I was going to say now. So you go first.
But it's like maybe it's just I'm a little more lenient on Love and Thunder because I've seen so many movies this year. And so, like, a bad movie to me is the 355 and Jurassic World Dominion. And this is not that. This movie is better than those two films. So, like, I have seen stinkers.
Yeah, we've seen some bad ones.
I have seen some bad movies in theater. So it's like, when a movie is a 7, I think that's pretty good for a comic book movie.
Yeah, we talked. Okay, I remember what I was going to say now. We've talked about it multiple times. I think expectation is such a big part of the movie-going experience. Because what you're saying makes a lot of sense, that there would be people out there who have set expectations to Spider-Man No Way Home, and you and I both know that is not realistic.
I don't know.
Is not.
Go ahead. I mean, I won't say never because you can't speak in absolutes, but it'll be forever until we get that. I mean, it might be another 20 years before we get that feeling again.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was an absolute lightning in a bottle, kind of, like, everything just worked out perfectly. That doesn't happen often, if ever, in film. Like, these guys, it just worked. It was able to happen, and because of it, we got arguably one of the greatest movies of all time, one of the highest grossing for sure. But I think tampering expectations is so big as a viewer. Like me and you, we're going to go watch a movie in the MCU. And me and you know going in that it will not be No Way Home.
Right.
Right. We know that it will not be likely the last Avengers movie with Thanos. I forget the whole thing, but
Endgame?
It will Endgame. Thank you. It will not be these things. We know that, okay? Because we know enough to set our expectations to a reasonable level. The problem with movies like Thor, Love and Thunder was that my expectations were a little higher. They were not on the level of No Way Home. They were not on the level of Endgame. To me, there's a standard for because it's Disney, because it's the MCU, and it just missed the mark in a lot of the same ways that the Doctor Strange movie missed its mark. And I love Benedict Cumberbatch, and I love Chris Hemsworth, and I love Natalie Portman, and I love these people, these actors, and they missed for me, and it's fine. It happens.
I think, and the problem is because we're so invested into it, it'll probably never happen. But like, yeah, reviews are one thing, but Disney's strictly going to look at the money generated from the movie as a success or not. So until we say, I'm not going to watch your film, then we will probably continue to get something along the line of the same quality as what we've gotten in Phase 4, which has been mid. Like, I don't think besides No Way Home, there hasn't been a stellar standout movie. I really enjoyed Shang-Chi. I thought that movie was fun,
I did too.
But I don't think that movie was great. I liked Black Widow more than the normal person, but I really like Scarlett Johansson and Florence Pugh. I like the Eternals. So like I like these
too.
I like all these movies, but like people are dogging on this movie and saying like, oh, look at the reviews. It's not good. But all Disney sees is we have 2 of the 3 highest grossing movies of this year right now.
Yeah. And they're not wrong. That's the thing. They're not. And it doesn't matter how many people go on their podcast or their YouTube channels and shit on them, because at the end of the day, between the 2 movies, they'll probably gross $1 billion.
Oh, if like, not more.
Globally.
I mean,
just because
Thor was $143 million opening weekend.
Yeah. So it's again, it comes down to, what does success mean? Does a successful movie mean it's good? Does a successful movie mean it's made money? Does a good movie mean it's made money? Right? Like, these are the kinds of questions that we have to ask. At the end of the day, Disney has an answer, and theirs is money.
It's all about, they are as much as I love the artistic side of film, I've seen a bunch of movies this year that I give it. Yeah, and Crow, you're 100%.
Good point. Yeah.
Right. I mean, Fast and Furious. But I mean, the second highest grossing movie this year is Jurassic World. And that movie's awful.
Dog meat. What do we give that, a 5 out of 10?
Yeah, if that. So it's like
horrible.
I think what we just have to set our expectations to are that I think in these big blockbusters, you're going to walk out with a very mid movie. I think the time of big blockbuster blowout films has probably passed until we get something new for a franchise, because the 100th Fast and the Furious, the 100th MCU movie, like it's you can only do so much.
Here's the thing. And Crow brought the Fast and Furious movies, and I'm thinking about it. And when it all comes down to it, is the foundations for these films are so strong that as long as it has their label on it, it will generate massive amounts of money.
I already told you, like, there's no I will never not go see an MCU movie.
Right.
I mean, they already have guaranteed my patronage.
Yeah, I'll never not watch Fast and Furious.
Right. Same thing for them. Like, we are going to see those movies. And so it's like, why deviate from the path?
Sure.
Like, I had this argument in one of our Facebook groups. The one time they deviated from it and actually tried to make a film was the Eternals. And that movie got mercifully shit on by everybody because it wasn't a comic book movie. And it's like, you can't sit here and dog. You can't sit here and dog Disney for saying, like, okay, we made you a film. We made you a Dune-like film, and you hated it because it wasn't flashy and it wasn't funny and it wasn't everything that you wanted it to be from Ragnarok and stuff like this. And then they give you Taika Waititi doing the comedy.
It's almost like it was over the top because of that. Like their response to our reaction to Eternals was a couple of really bad movies that just force-fed the crap that people just eat up. The best parts of Ragnarok.
Because the Eternals didn't make 143 million opening weekend. So why waste their time?
Eternals was better than this movie.
It was 100%. I'm not saying dollar value matter for what is, but if I'm the CEO of Disney and I'm saying, like, okay, Shang-Chi, $100+ million. Yeah. Eternals, $50 million. No Way Home, $200 million, almost $1 billion. Why would I go back to, I want to make a film? No, I want my shareholders to get banged.
I was about to say, what are the shareholders saying? You know?
Yeah. So, like,
get their nut, as you say.
Yeah, get their nut.
Yeah.
You can't appease everybody. And so you have to, like, Eternals was better.
It was better. It was, truly.
But I thought Eternals was a really good movie. So if you hated the Eternals, you might actually like Love and Thunder.
Maybe. I had the guy at work that I was telling you about. Mm-hmm. He said that Thor: Love and Thunder was not just better, way better. And I mean, he loved, and I can't explain why. I don't know. He is a little younger than me. Maybe it's a generational thing, right? Like, but he loved Thor: Love and Thunder, and I'm like, I don't how. Like, the only good that I see in that movie truly is Christian Bale.
I've seen a lot of people defending the movie just because they said they knew it was going to be a comedy, they wanted it to be a comedy, and they just wanted to have fun. And I think that's kind of what Love and Thunder did. You know, like, if you want to go in there and get some cheesy laughs and do your thing, then it's a movie for you.
Yeah,
you can't, as fans of the MCU, we can't sit here and be so 50-50 on what we want in a movie. If it was up to me, every movie would be like Thor Ragnarok. I think that is the peak, the peak individual movies. That and Winter Soldier, I hold as the highest regards for individual MCU movies that aren't team-up films.
Yeah, Thor Ragnarok. Yeah, I'm with that 100%. I think one of the best solo films from any of the heroes. Fantastic, truly. I mean, you can't. And a lot of the arguments for this film were, well, it wanted to be too much like Ragnarok. Well, I don't have an issue with them trying to recreate success in a movie that most people think is fantastic. The issue I have is in the execution, which to me wasn't there. And that's just it.
Yeah.
You know, so that's a personal thing. That's my opinion.
Yeah. I think historically, Iron Man 1's great. It started the whole thing.
It is so good.
But Iron Man 2 or 3, dog water.
Yeah.
They're worse than
they actually had to go back and what not decommit. What they had to go back and correct an antagonist from
retcon.
Yeah. So
from Shang-Chi.
because he was so bad that they had to literally debunk him. You know,
I think if you take out the Avengers movie, this is still a top 10 Marvel movie. But hear me out. Historically, Thor movies are bad.
Okay.
Like Thor 1, not very good.
Sure.
Thor 2, bad.
Not
Ragnarok, awesome. So I think our expectations were.
I have a question. After I read Chris' chat.
He said they never came out 2 and 3.
Yeah, it was like when Ryan Reynolds was arguing with
about the Green
Lantern. Yeah, what? I don't remember. Did we was there a Green Lantern? No. So my question to you is, do you think the super high budget, high quality television shows have played a part in how we view these movies now? Like, you look at the quality of a Loki, the Scarlet Witch TV show, the Captain Falcon TV show, that were really well done, super high budget. People generally love them. Do you think that plays any effect in how we're viewing these Phase 4 movies now?
Maybe. Like I said, I don't think so. I think all of those TV shows were for characters that needed 8 episodes for us to get behind them.
Yeah.
Because and I don't want to downplay the actors, but the acting quality of Phase 4 just isn't as good as what Phase 1 through 3 gave us. I like Anthony Mackie, but he will never be as good as Chris Evans is. Chris Evans, he has this he has this charisma that as soon as Chris Evans steps on the screen, you're in it. You are enthralled in the movie. As soon as Robert Downey Jr. drops a quippy, smartass remark, you're like, dude, I am invested in him as a character. You
can see it in the TV show too. When in Loki, anytime Hiddleston was on the screen with nobody else other than Woody Harrelson, who I think is a phenomenal actor. It was very
Owen Wilson,
or Owen Wilson, who I think is a phenomenal actor, super underrated. Those guys seem out of place. I used to say the same thing for Jeremy Renner, who I think has a pretty good resume himself. Probably who I would consider a great actor. When he was on the screen with anybody else, they were very mid comparatively. So, I think there's something to be said. Simu Liu, to me, obviously he's young talent, but not quite, that level yet. I think you could absolutely make a case for the acting is a lot weaker because those guys are not around.
Yeah, and I know people are about to get all super uppity about Natalie Portman and Chris Hemsworth and their acting abilities. And that's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying as characters, Thor is a very hard standalone character to make interesting.
He's not relatable. He's a god.
It's not even that he's just not relatable. It's just if you're going to be the comedic character, you need something to even it out. And that's why he was so good in Ragnarok, because you had him when he was in a scene, it was with Tom Hiddleston as Loki, who could even out Chris Hemsworth, or it was Mark Ruffalo as the Hulk.
Well, even Valkyrie, I think.
Yeah, Valkyrie was way better in Ragnarok.
Yeah.
And Hela was really good in Ragnarok. And it was the first time we saw Korg, and Korg had some comedy to him too when Thor needed to be serious. So there was way better dynamics when you had a bunch of different characters that can even each other out, instead of, okay, well now Thor has to be the character that is the comic relief, is the seriousness, is the action of the entire film.
Yeah. No, I agree. I couldn't agree more with that. But I'd like to know what you guys think. If you know me or Jarrett personally, send us a DM. Like, let us know your thoughts. Crow, I think obviously feels kind of the same way we do.
Yeah.
Is it too much right now? Is there too much MCU happening between the TV shows and 3 to 4 and 5 movies a year? I'm interested. So send us a DM. You can reach us on Facebook. We are Silence Your Cell Phones in the subcategory of podcast. You can reach us on IG, the gram, as the kids say.
That's what the kids be saying.
That is what they do be saying. At Silence Your Cell Phones. We're on Twitter. We're at Silenced Phone, but if you search Silence Your Cell Phones, we'll show up. We have an email address. We are silenceyourcellphone, no S, at gmail.com. And we also have a Patreon for any of those who want some more content. We've been doing a little bit more with that. We've got some things planned. So we're really excited about the future there. Did I miss a social?
No, I think, did you say the Gmail?
I did say the Gmail. Okay. I said the Facebook, the Patreon, the IG.
No, that's all of them.
If you would rather listen to podcasts, we're on Spotify.
We are on Spotify.
So we do a little bit of everything.
And we should be up to date, except for this episode, on Spotify. So cool. We are completely current with all of our stuff. If you want to listen in the car ride or whatever.
Yeah, we've got people that, have their preferences. My little brother, Trevor, likes to listen to them on Spotify. Yeah. I think a lot of people like to watch. But either way, we try to make it available, accessible to you guys. Jarrett, I have something important I need to say.
Okay.
All right. I'm just going to say it. I pulled it up here. I want to give a shout out to the travelers on the omnibus.
Yes, our dear friends.
So Jarrett's been doing a really good job of giving them shout outs. And I always wondered, I don't really, I don't know the guys. Well, I started listening to their podcast. That is a cornucopia of all things nerd culture. And I started listening and I haven't stopped, and I'm now current. And it's been a fun ride. So they do role-playing games. They did a soundtrack score episode. They did an favorite authors episode. They do a little bit of everything. They're a lot of fun. That would be Jay McCarthy, Jody Knight, Ethan Skinner, and Brady Davis. Jody Knight also has a podcast in which he discusses
all horror
films. It's called Fearology. And he seems to be pretty adept at those things. So I want to shout out those guys. And we may have a little something in the works further on down the road with those guys too. So we'll see what happens. So anything what do we got coming up? Anything good?
Well, just to cap off the Marvel stuff, they did introduce mutants into the MCU with Miss Marvel. So we got big things on the horizon with that. That's what I've been waiting on.
To be fair, they introduced mutants with the Multiverse of Madness.
Well, not in the actual canon universe.
Oh, are you talking in comic book land?
No, in Miss Marvel, which is in the same universe that all the other Avengers and stuff.
The multiverse.
Yeah. So they introduced Charles Xavier in a different universe. So I don't really count that since they just killed him off anyway. So we got mutants. That's a big deal. To hold off on the fatigue. Next movie is not until November with the next Black Panther movie. So it should give us some time to decompress, watch some other stuff.
So, and there's some bangers coming out too, man.
Yeah, this week we got Where the Crawdads Sing.
Yeah,
which is getting mixed reviews right now. But I'm hearing a lot of the negative reviews I'm getting are from people that like loved the book.
Sure.
And I think that, that happens every time there's an adaptation of huge.
The book is always better.
Always better. The people that didn't read the book really enjoyed the movie. So I'm still super excited for it.
If you read the book, I'm just going to say it. Go in with realistic expectations.
Yeah, they can't put everything in there.
And it's the same. It's the same thing that for any time you read a book that's a film adaptation of a book or a series, it will never live up to the book. Understand that. Set your expectation. Watch the movie. There you go. Yeah, I just made the movie more enjoyable for you. You're welcome.
You just have to digest it as two different mediums.
Yeah.
Like, it is what it is. I think I would like to actually talk to people that have read the Lord of the Rings books and see how they liked the movies, because
that'd be interesting.
Because that's the only three that like stick out of my head that like, I don't know how you wouldn't enjoy this.
Right.
And obviously Tolkien's hard to understand, so maybe that's why people did enjoy it. They could finally figure out what he was talking about for.
Yeah, we had this conversation because of the Omnibus podcast. The reason why Tolkien wasn't on any of their lists was because just impossible to understand his writing. Oh.
So I got a game, Kevin.
Okay.
This weekend. Okay. What is going to be the highest grossing film at the box office?
We talked about this, didn't we?
I will buy your snacks.
Oh, okay. All right.
Unless we said the same thing.
No, because here's the thing, and we had this conversation at the movie theater. In my heart of hearts, it should be Where the Crawdads Sing. Now, you believe it's going to be that stupid animated film.
I think The Legend of Hank is going to do better than Where the Crawdads Sing, but I don't think it's going to be the highest grossing.
What comes out this week?
Just those two.
Oh, so you think a movie that's already been out? You think Thor: Love and Thunder will probably take week 2?
I honestly think
could be
maybe the Minions.
Oh, dude, they blew up.
Yeah, they always do.
They made some, and here's the thing: I heard it was like good. Like I actually heard it was good.
Frank said Frank said it was mediocre.
Everything that I've heard out of that movie has been nothing but good things. Do we watch? The real question is should we go watch it and contribute to the multi-million-dollar?
Look,
billion now, I guess, because they've grossed $1 billion worldwide.
I'm definitely singing Where the Crawdads Sing.
Yes,
that's happening. I will see
the MySpace. I just read Crow's comment. I guess, yeah, no MySpace, brother.
I'll see Minions before I see The Legend of Hank.
Oh, facts. That's not even. It's not even up for debate.
I got Sunday, Monday off. Sure. Like I'm down to see 2 movies.
Let's get it. Yeah, so we will see. Look, here's what I'll say. I think it'll probably be Love and Thunder.
That's fair.
And then Where the Crawdads Sing.
Okay, I'm still going to put The Legend of Hank above Where the Crawdads Sing.
No.
I believe in the children.
Was this worldwide or domestic or both?
We'll just do domestic. You can't look, Crow. We have to see pretty much everything that comes out, honey. It's not.
we can't show bias here.
That's true.
We had to watch the 355 and Malignant and Space Jam 2.
That's true. We did have to watch. God. There is no way. There is no way Minions is worse than the 355. It's impossible.
It'd be a statistical anomaly.
They can make one fart joke and it will already start higher than the 355.
Oh yeah, that was a tough watch, dude.
Yeah.
It's in the ice cube. Dude, that was such a poor experience.
Dude, you're telling me Jessica Chastain won an Oscar?
Yeah. Don't worry. The 366 will be out soon.
The 3552, the electric boogaloo.
Oh man. Well, on that note, I think it might be time.
It is
to
that
sign
time. We appreciate all you guys. Chris, thanks for joining us on this entire trip. That was fun.
Crow's a legend, man.
Yeah, he is. Until next week. And see.
Nice.
All right. I will see you in the Discord.
See.